At 2:40, a Chinese Type 094A submarine slipped into Yulin's mountain tunnel. Beijing's billion-dollar undersea secret base, a U.S. Virginia-class boat, had been watching from miles away, tracking every turn while China assumed the Pacific was empty. Satellite imagery has just revealed what experts are calling China's most significant naval advancement in decades, a secretive new submarine base. And that's the real threat. If this base ever works the way Beijing hopes, it pushes nuclear patrols closer to Hawaii and puts U.S. carriers inside strike range. The only thing slowing that future down is how much the U.S. already knows about China's underground naval tunnels. Inside China's mountain base at Yulin. Yulin is the most important submarine base China has ever built, a multi-billion-dollar complex carved into granite on the southern edge of Hainan Island. From the coastline, it looks like a normal naval pier. The real facility sits underground. 2 tunnel mouths, each roughly 20 meters wide, cut 450 to 500 meters into solid rock. More than 100 meters of granite sits overhead, giving China's nuclear submarines protection from most conventional strikes. Inside, satellite imagery shows 2 to 3 internal berths, each around 150 to 200 meters long, wide enough for multiple hulls, maintenance bays, and hidden loading areas. Between 2023 and 2025, construction accelerated. New support buildings, reinforced roofs, expanded security zones, and a second internal shaft appearing deeper inland. The waterfront expanded just as quickly. Dredging deepened the harbor from about 15 meters to over 20, allowing larger submarines and deeper draft future designs. Piers over 350 meters long were rebuilt and hardened. Power infrastructure was upgraded, and seawalls were extended. Analysts estimate the base can now host 8 to 12 nuclear submarines, with more work underway every year. Below the waterline, Yulin is ringed by a seabed surveillance gate. Hydrophones, buried cables, and anchored buoys spread across nearby channels. Some sensors sit in shallow 50-meter water, others drop past 300 meters. This network was built to detect U.S. submarines approaching the island by listening for pump jet signatures or hull vibrations. The problem for China is the environment itself. The South China Sea is one of the loudest regions in the world. Merchant traffic, fishing fleets, shallow floors, and shifting thermoclines scramble acoustic tracking. Even China's newest systems struggle to filter the noise. That's why U.S. submarines still sit comfortably outside the 12 nautical mile limit, collecting data as if the base were a live classroom. Virginia-class and Seawolf-class boats map engine harmonics, entry patterns, escort routines, and channel changes with meter-level accuracy. By 2024, U.S. intelligence had built a near-complete acoustic library of China's nuclear submarine fleet, something Beijing never intended to reveal, and Yulin itself keeps giving away clues. Every time a submarine enters the tunnel, analysts observe power spikes, ventilation shifts, and water displacement inside the entrance. Even the shadow of a hull more than 130 meters long shows up clearly in satellite imagery. Yulin was meant to hide China's submarines. Instead, every upgrade exposes more of how the base works, and what China plans next. The submarine force China wants the world to see. As of 2025, China presents a growing fleet designed to look modern and intimidating on paper. 7 ballistic missile submarines, mostly Type 094/094A, 12 plus nuclear attack submarines, Type 093/093B, at least 2 Type 096 SSBNs under construction, and every hull leads back to Yulin, the only base built to support China's next generation of missile submarines. The Type 094A, at over 12,000 tons submerged, carries 16 JL-2A missiles with ranges around 7,200 kilometers, enough to hit Japan, India, Guam, or parts of Alaska, but not the continental United States, from the South China Sea. Its acoustic signature, around 110 to 115 decibels, places it closer to a late Cold War Los Angeles-class submarine than a modern Virginia. Yulin's granite tunnel remains its safest hiding spot. Supporting the missile boats is the Type 093B attack submarine, roughly 7,000 plus tons, armed with YJ-18 and CJ-10 cruise missiles, and believed to use pump jet propulsion on newer variants. US and Australian ASW platforms still assess it as 15 to 20 decibels louder than a Virginia class. But in the shallow, noisy South China Sea, the 093B becomes significantly harder to track. The real focus is the Type 096, the class Yulin's expansion was designed around. Estimated at 15,000 to 20,000 tons submerged, it will carry 16 to 24 JL-3 missiles with 10,000 to 12,000 kilometers range. That gives China intercontinental reach without leaving the protective waters near Hainan. Acoustic improvements of 30 to 40% over the 094A are expected, alongside upgraded sonar and a hull form optimized for deeper patrols. This is why dredging went from 15 meters to over 20, why piers stretched past 350 meters, and why tunnel modifications appear designed for larger hull diameters. Analysts estimate China is spending $3 to $6 billion on Yulin's underground complex and waterfront expansion, separate from submarine construction costs. Together, 094A, 093B, and 096 form a layered force. Ballistic missile submarines protected by attack submarines, supported by island outposts, surface escorts, and the South China Sea's geography. And the entire system revolves around one place, China's mountain-shielded tunnel at Yulin. Port Alpha, the US advantage China can't copy. China has Yulin, a giant tunnel in a rock. The United States has Port Alpha, a machine that turns submarine power into something China simply cannot keep up with. China spent an estimated $3 to $6 billion carving tunnels, dredging channels to 20-plus meters, and reinforcing 350-meter piers. The U.S., meanwhile, poured over $600 million into the first phase of a shipyard designed specifically for autonomous naval production, with the facility's operator, Submarine Technologies, now valued at over $4 billion. And unlike Yulin, which took nearly a decade to take shape, Port Alpha is already pushing out hardware. Port Alpha upgrades submarines and produces autonomous vessels in timelines China can't touch. A Seawolf or Virginia pulls in, gets new arrays, new processors, new coatings, new isolation systems, and sails out in weeks, not months. That speed compounds. Every rotation adds another layer of capability. Every software refresh sharpens its hearing. Every new module gives it a new way to ambush, detect, or vanish. That's the cycle China fears because China can't mirror it. Their 094A refits take months. Their sensor overhauls take months. Their hull maintenance is slow because they built single-point infrastructure. One main base, one tunnel, one protected harbor. The US built Port Alpha to feed Groton, Pearl Harbor, Bangor, Bremerton, Guam, Diego Garcia, an entire network that keeps submarines lethal without stopping the fleet. The facility is built to turn out autonomous warships at a pace no conventional yard can match. The smallest class, Spyglass, is only 6 feet long, sprints at 20 knots, and runs 30 nautical miles on a single tasking. Cutlass extends the range to 300 nautical miles, carries 200 pounds, and already fired Altius loitering munitions during at-sea drills. Corsair crosses 1,000 nautical miles, reaches 35-plus knots, and handles a 1,000-pound payload, enough for sensors, EW racks, or loitering strike packages. Then come the bigger hulls. Mirage is 40 feet long, runs at 35-plus knots, carries 2,000 pounds, and roams 2,000 nautical miles. Cypher is 60 feet, hauls 10,000 pounds, moves at 35-plus knots, and runs 3,000 nautical miles, all while swallowing a full 20-foot ISO container with EW systems, drone magazines, or mobile repair bays. And at the top sits Marauder, 150 feet, 40 metric tons of payload, 3,500 nautical mile range, and deck space for two 40-foot ISOs. It's unmanned heavy lift at destroyer scale. China builds submarines one by one. The US is about to build drones by the dozen. The shipyard powering this, expanded from Gulfcraft, is undergoing $250 million in upgrades to reach a rhythm of up to 50 autonomous vessels per year. That's a fleet multiplier China has no counter for. While Beijing locks its subs inside a tunnel to hide them, the US adds new uncrewed teeth to every battle group, and the money behind the US advantage dwarfs any Chinese tunnel. $160+ billion for Columbia-class submarines, $100+ billion projected for SSN-X, $4 to $5 billion every year for upgrades to Seawolf and Virginia classes, hundreds of millions annually for acoustic R&D, billions more for undersea drones, AI fusion, and networked comms. China invests in walls. America invests in evolution. Inside Port Alpha, US submarines walk in, reinvent themselves, and leave deadlier than they arrived. If you like that kind of quiet flex, the kind that keeps admirals awake at night, hit subscribe. We've got more undersea stories coming, and they only get sharper from here.